So I've told you this many times, but I love talking about WrestleMania 18.
Yeah.
It's my favorite WrestleMania match. It's my favorite WrestleMania. It's my favorite match of all time. I was 18 years old when I went there, and I got to be honest with you. I was fully going in intending to cheer for The Rock.
Cool.
And then your music hit, and I went, I'm a Hulkamaniac. And I cheered for you.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about whatever part about.
We could talk for 3 hours about WrestleMania 18, I feel like.
Yeah, what do you need to know?
What were your expectations before you went out for that match? Because leading up to it, the stare downs that you guys had were so iconic. So, when you guys are, your music finally hits, what were your expectations?
Well, to get there, there's a huge backstory, okay? And the backstory is working for Ted Turner 9 or 10 years, trying to put Vince out of business, basically trying to beat him in the ratings and do whatever we could to be competitive. Because when I did leave the WWF at the time, Vince pretty much told me my run was over and the red and yellow was done. And after the Warrior beat me, there were a couple of years. Well, actually, after the Warrior beat me that night, he said, well, I'd give him the belts. And I go down the aisle. Let me do the Three Stooges. Slowly I turned. And let me go ground him and crucify him. I want to be Triple H, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Oh, you can't do that. You can't be a heel. I said, brother, your dad brought me in as a heel. Of course I can do it. No. So a couple years later, as I kept floundering around there, Vince pretty much told me my run was over. I went, oh, really? And so I went and did Thunder in Paradise, and when I get bored with doing that craziness, went to WCW and did what I did there. And then it was a situation where I was in a hotel room in New York called the Parker Meridian, and I was actually sitting on a toilet doing number 2, right? And then my phone rang, and I saw Triple H on the phone. And I went, whoa, that's interesting. So I picked the phone up, and I go, what's up, brother? And he goes, oh, man, how you doing? I said, we heard your contract is done, this and that and the other, whatever the verbiage was.
Yeah.
Vince would like to talk to you. So I said, oh, cool, And so one thing led to another. And before I get to WrestleMania 18, the backstory was the verbiage with me and Vince is things have changed up here. And which I kind of knew that The Rock and Stone Cold were the two guys that they catered to.
Right.
Because before, during the day, when they'd go out to the ring, it'd be Hulk Hogan, and this is what we're doing, that's what we're doing. Now I knew it wasn't my time, but it was the new guys. So I already knew that. But Vince went, oh, no, you're coming up here. You got to really bring it. I was like, okay. I mean, I got to run faster, jump higher. What do you mean really bring it? So I knew what he meant. The work rate was quicker and faster and stuff, which to me doesn't mean anything. My thought, and I didn't say it, but if you want me to bring it, you're going to be asking me to take it back, because but I would never do anything under mine to hurt the boys or to hurt Rock. But I just kept my mouth shut, and the backstory still was, I think they didn't think I could pull it off. Or I think they thought that maybe I wasn't up to snuff to be Hulk Hogan, so they wanted me to go down to Miami and rehearse the match, which I've never done in my life. And so I went down there, and Rocky Johnson was there, my boy, and Pat Patterson was there, and there was this ring in a warehouse, and it was 100 degrees plus. And The Rock told me everything he wanted to do and walk around and go here and there and spit his fist, and he'd go over the top rope, go through all this stuff. The match was pretty much laid out. And then Rocky Johnson went, Dwayne, listen to Hogan. Rocky was just like cheering for me, which was kind of funny because he was a good friend of mine the whole time we were in the WWF. And then Pat Patterson said, okay, Telly, let's go to the match, Telly. And I went, are you kidding me? He said, if I fall down in here, I'm going to get hurt. I can't wrestle with no people here. He goes, yeah, you got it. Vince, why don't you go to the match? I said, I can't do it. I said, believe me, we get in front of 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people, I'll be fine. And so, I was kind of wondering that if this whole thing is planned out, what if you start doing this and the people fart at it? Are you going to keep doing what you planned out? And so I really didn't say much. And then we were in the dressing room, and Rock and I were actually in the same dressing room that night. Not a lot of conversation, but Rocky Johnson was in there. Dwayne, listen to Hogan. Thanks. So we get out there, and I fully expected them to boo me out of the building after hitting him with a hammer, putting him in the ambulance, running him over with a semi.
Yeah.
I did everything I could to get
I remember that. I remember you running him over in the semi. It's like,
Well,
let's lay the smacked on him, NWO style.
Yeah, well, in the ring, he said, Wrestlemania, yes or no?
Yeah.
And when I said yes, I went to pull away. He held my hand.
Yeah.
Then he pulled me in and rock bottomed me.
Yeah.
And I brought Kevin Scott in, and then we beat him like a dog. Fully expected to get booed. Come walking out the ramp, heard the crowd, and went, oh my gosh, Lucy, we got a problem. You know, people were cheering like crazy, just loyal, you know, over the top loyal. Then we got in the ring, and I remember we started and pushed him. We did stare down, which, of course, we didn't rehearse that. That was just done. And then out of nowhere, you know, I think he pushed me or I pushed him. I can't remember. But I know as soon as he started to take over on me, like he planned, the people started booing him out of the building. Then I cut him off and took over, and it took me about 7 or 8 minutes to get it right, you know, and then we kind of slow danced through it, and it was a miracle. He was so good. He was so good with the timing and the placement and just the, you know, just to listen to the crowd with his ear and his heart. And once we got on the same page, I could have danced with him all night. You know, it was just really easy, you know, and you know, put him over. It's not a big deal. And, you know, it could have went either way, but it didn't matter. Yeah. It was just, it was the art form again, which usually the art form is dead, but we went back to the dance of what this business is really about.
There's a moment early on where you push him down and the crowd erupts in cheering. And you kind of look around almost like, oh, like, because you've been booed for the last 6 years, 5 years, whatever it had been. It's almost like, oh, yeah, like that's what it feels like to be cheered again.
Yeah, and it was really cheap heat for me to acknowledge the crowd. But I was just trying to get this thing to a fever pitch so that when he grinded me and beat me, he really beat somebody important. You know, I didn't want to pass the torch to some lukewarm, worn out old wrestler.
Yeah.
I wanted to pass the torch to a guy that was like the biggest star in this business, and I just beat the biggest guy ever in this business. That's where my mindset was. If we're going to send him off, let's make sure we send him off the right way. And I've never been in the ring with anybody that could call an audible like him and be that open and giving. You know, a lot of guys will freak out and tighten up on you and not go for a spot, but he was there for everything.
Did you know that the NWO was going to turn on you after that match?
Yeah. I knew they were coming down.
Was it because of the result of you being cheered the whole match? Like, was that an audible that was called at some point?
Yeah, the referee told me they were coming down.
Mike Chioda.
Yeah, the referee told me they were coming down. And all I remember is being on my knees and looking up at Big Kev. Kevin's got both arms over his head with a chair, and he's like, ah! And I'm like, oh my God, he's marking out. And I never put my hand up. And I put my forearm up, bro. And he hit my forearm, and I went in the back and said, Kevin, what is going on, bro? He goes, I never thought I was going to hit Hulk Hogan with a chair. I said, we've been working together. We've been working together for the last 7 or 8 years. I'm your boy. He goes, yeah, but it was Wrestlemania, and I had to lay it down. But yeah, but if I hadn't put my arm up, he'd have killed me. But yeah, we laughed about it afterwards. But I thank God I looked in his eyes to see that he wasn't even there, you know. But it was a lot of fun. And then Vince ordered me to go back and get the red and yellow immediately.
So from Toronto, you had, and I think the next stop was it Montreal?
Yeah. So we wanted to send somebody back, and I said they'll never find my stuff, and they will not bring the right stuff. So I flew back and got the red and yellow stuff, and then flew right back. flew all night that night on Vince's jet to get back to Tampa, to get home, to dig through storage, you know, to get the stuff and get my butt back up there.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was intense, man.
Wow.
And my whole reason for going up there was, of course, to wrestle The Rock, you know, and of course, heels are meant to be beat. It was a fluke. I slipped on a banana peel. He could never do it again, you know, whatever. I could have kept my heat because my whole intention was to have that 2-year run with Stone Cold because he was red hot at the time, and I was dying to get in his shorts, man, and make some money, you know. And so it was kind of like, you know, because I know Steve had some physical issues and stuff with his nerves and his legs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I was just like, the air was let out of the balloon when I didn't get a chance to run with him.
Yeah.
That would have been crazy.